Good afternoon, everybody. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I am so excited to receive our guest this afternoon. I hope everybody's having a good time getting ready for an exciting long weekend. So our guest today is going to be Crystal Haynes, and she's going to talk to us today about passion. So I'm going to add Crystal on the live right now. Hi, everybody. So we're waiting on Crystal to join us. Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. How's everybody's doing this afternoon? Hi, Crystal. I'm trying to add you on the live, and it's telling me you're unable to join. I am going to send you the request again. Okay.
Hey,
I just sent you a request to
I
be on
see
the
ya.
live.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
Yay. There
I
you
know,
are.
long time. No see.
Oh my gosh. I think last time we seen each other was probably before the pandemic, if I'm not
It
mistaken.
was definitely,
Oh my
I think it might have been, was it a workshop? I think one of those,
No, was it the award ceremony?
was it?
Oh my gosh, that was like a long time ago. That was like 2019.
That was a long time ago.
Oh my gosh. It's like the days are going by so fast. It's
They
ridiculous.
are.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us this
Welcome.
afternoon. Like I was like I was mentioning earlier, we're going to talk about passion. So before we begin, I wanted you to tell us a bit more about yourself. Who's
Who am
Crystal?
I? Well, you did a nice little job at the bottom with the blurb there. I'm an author, an entrepreneur, I guess philanthropist, but I don't like saying that, but uh, I just love to help people. And I'm a person who just believes that if you have a calling, if you have a gift, a talent, you should pursue it by any means necessary. And I'm a
As
talker, as you can see by podcasts, speaking engagements. I talk. So that's who I am, and I write. So that's me.
Thank you so much for this amazing introduction. So now let's dive all deep into it. So, what inspired you to develop the idea of the podcast and basically, yeah,
The
where the idea came
podcast.
from? And you choose to like the topic that you
I'm sorry?
chose, and the topic that that
For
you
today.
chose, like what
Oh,
inspired you? Not today, like in
okay.
general.
Well, the podcast, that was a push. That was a push. Actually, one of my oldest friends, actually, they were an ex-boyfriend. Uh, he always told me that I had a lot to say. I had information that people needed, and I have a way about saying it, and the world should hear. Um, Between him and my cousin telling me that I need to speak more because I have, and my mom always encouraging me to speak, to write. Eventually, I got tired of being told you need to do it because you're hiding from it. So I did it, and I absolutely love it because if you saw my Twitter name, it says Crystal Says a Lot. And
Mhm.
I say a lot. So the podcast is Crystal Says, Let's Chat, You and Me. I wanted it to think that was interactive, where I get from who listens the topics that you want to hear, the topics to converse about, the people that you want to hear on the show with me, the things that matter the most. Because at the end of the day, one of my original mottos were a better me, better you, better world. And I still believe that. So every season of the podcast might look a little different. And that's because is a general thing, and about life, love, and everything else in between, because whose life doesn't encompass all of those things? So this last season, it was more so business focused and bring passions
Mhm.
and not giving up and learning the pivot, and also working on your mental health. So that's what we focused on for the last season. So that Let's Chat, You and Me, it's a community, and that's what I wanted to force. So I
Mhm.
answered your question.
Yes. So, can you share with us some of the challenges that you had when you started with the
Oh
podcast?
my goodness gracious. Okay. Starting a podcast, let me tell you, there are a lot of them now, and it just seems like it's easy. You just throw one out there and you just start talking. That's what I thought. That's exactly what I realized. If you want quality and if you want engagement, if you want to reach a certain demographic, you're going to have to do more. So I've spent times researching. I had another friend who is into music and soundboards and all of those things. He told me, you need to put on some music on there. Like, well, I guess that's a good idea. Not a dry sound and me just gabbing away. And then I had some questions come in. Is it just going to be you talking, or are you going to also have? I said,
Mhm.
well, gee, don't you just like me? But but guests are important because you have that bouncing back and forth of information and ideas, and I get to learn from guests. Um, and I think I want you on there next season, but I'm working things out. But I will be emailing you.
I'm excited. I love working with you. So, okay, yes, okay, let me calm down. Thank you so much for thinking about me.
You
Okay,
have
yes.
so much to say. You have so much to give and offer. From the time I met you, that's what I've known of you. And I'm so proud of you. I've watched you from the first time I met you, where I did not hear a word out of your mouth. And I am so proud to see where you are. Super proud.
Okay, you're not gonna make me cry, right? It's not about me today. Let's just retirement real quick. Oh my gosh, you make me. I'm getting emotional because it's been. Oh, okay. It's been so much. Okay, but this is subject for another time. But thank you. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so
But
much.
yeah, so that's hi Dana. Dana's phenomenal. You want to have her too. But
Okay.
that's my answer.
Dina, send me a DM me so I won't forget. Thank you.
But yeah, so that's why I did it. I was told I had a lot to say, and I did. And this podcast took a lot of research, a lot of learning, technical things, sound, and then there's the content, because content is very important. If you're talking and no one wants to hear you by yourself, but you want to reach an audience, whomever your audience may be, you want to reach them. So that type of research is what I had to do, and it was long, and it's still ongoing because there are different dimensions that should be added to the podcast, and I'm still adding. So yeah, it's an ongoing. So that's the hardest part, the constant research, the constant pivoting, and that leads us into passion pursuit. So
Amazing. I love it. So my next question is very interesting. So since, we're talking about passion, in your
yeah,
opinion, right, should anyone pursue their passion? Because sometimes, especially coming from, our background, like Caribbean background, like say you gotta eat, so you gotta do something like, that's gonna provide food or whatever. But a lot of the time we want to do some more unconventional things, like a podcast, writing books, right? And like these things, if you're an author, obviously, it's not like you're gonna get rich like the next day. Like it doesn't work like that, right? So in your opinion, when it comes to these different things, like, would you encourage somebody to pursue their passion? And if you would, how? Like, how do we go about it? What's to do and not to do?
I always encourage anyone and everyone to pursue their passions. Um, I love that you said Caribbean. And I think it spans so many different cultures. I think there is not one culture where the family doesn't want someone to be a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, a lawyer. And sometimes people pursue those things because they were told, this is what we want for you, and this is what you should also want. Those are definitely necessary things. But those are definitely necessary things. But the question you always have to ask yourself, do I also want this? Now, I was thinking about what I would talk about, what I would share in this episode with you. And I said, I wanted to keep it on brand, real and raw. We tend to see the polished version of people and say, well, wow, they're so proud of me. But no one wants to show you the grit behind it. Even the grit that's shown sometimes is very cleaned up a bit. The fact of the matter is, sometimes you're going to pursue your passion while working a whole other job. And then you're going to come home and you're going to be exhausted and you're going to be burning midnight oil, and then you're going to catch a nap. And if you're like me, like today, you're going to throw on some concealer because you don't want to under your eyes because you're tired. But you're going to do what it is that you feel you need to do. I have a full-time job. Have I stopped pursuing my passions? No. Sometimes it does feel like you get knocked down, kicked, punched, because it doesn't happen as fast as you want. And then you look on social media and you see everyone else and it's like, wow, they got there so fast. But they could have been on that journey for 10 years. You started. Technically, you may be ahead of where they were when they started. So I would say, pursue your passion. Maybe if you're not as a risk taker, adventurous risk taker, I wouldn't say just walk off of your job and just say, I'm going to be an artist and that's it. Everyone's going to buy my stuff. I might not say do that. I might not say do that. I would say you need to start gauging the audience. Is there an audience for what you provide? The answer is there's always going to be something and someone who wants your stuff. You just got to find them. And when you find them, you need to start putting your face in front of them. You see me talking about, I'm so Westy. You put your
I'm here and I'm here to stay.
You put your face in front of them so that they see exactly what it is you're offering. And when they see it, they tend to know other people who like the same thing. And then you got a word of mouth thing going. Then you got people. Now, there are some areas that are a little harder. Mine, I think I like challenges. Mine, I do a few things. One of which also helps people start businesses, change careers, pursue healthy relationships in their families. I do those things as well. The hard thing about that is I will always get someone say, this is what they want to do. But when they work to do it, they may pull back. And so I don't believe forcing anyone to do anything, because I believe in quality. If you really want something, you give your best. I mean, you give quality. So if you are not ready, you need to gauge, do you really want to do this thing? If you really do, you need to think, okay, what do I need to cut off? What distractions? What is pulling me away from this? Am I dealing with any traumas? Because there are some traumas that are in our lives, whether it's familial or something external that happened to us, whatever the case may be. Sometimes that's something to deal with. So I would also say, go see a counselor, a therapist. I had one. She was phenomenal. I had to say it that way. She was phenomenal. She helped me so much in breaking through different things that held me back in my life. Made me feel like I'm not good enough to do this. And she would ask questions like, why do you think? And then we would dig and keep peeling, keep peeling. And then I realized some of the root causes. And I said, well, now thinking about it now, in my beautiful age of 37, it made no ever for me to actually believe that. But you know what? I believed it from a little girl. And so it became a part of me that I had to now have mental surgery to remove, so it won't grow back. We cauterize that. Exactly. It will not grow back in the name of Jesus. So there are different things you need to do. Yes, pursue your goals, pursue your passion. Make sure they are healthy passions. Let's be clear. There are some that do not need to be pursued, that do not need to be pursued whatsoever. So I say pursue the healthy passions. Topics of,
and we have to be realistic with ourselves.
You do need to survive. Well. So unless you have a trust fund or you've won millions of dollars, even if you won millions of dollars, you still need to know what to do that, and you need to know how to find a financial advisor. Your money. You still need knowledge to understand what the financial advisor is doing so you don't get ripped off. So either way, there are game plans, and that's part of what I do with Love and Thrive. So there are game plans. You need to look at everything, and there's a detail for everything so that you can understand what you're pursuing, why you're pursuing it. Are your goals aligning with what you feel? I'm not talking about the type of feeling that is just fleeting here today, gone tomorrow. I'm talking about what has been embedded in you. For me, I know God called me to serve. Service may look different for me. It may be volunteering, feeding people, it may be going abroad, doing mission work. It may be just the simple fact of being available on a phone call to help someone who's having a very difficult time. Or even map out your idea of what you want to do with your business or how you want to change your career or get a promotion. Very simple. As long as it's something in help, I know that's what God called me for. So I would say pursue it. What not to do? I already said don't leave. Don't leave your job if you have.
Don't leave your day job and like, money, okay, without the plan.
Money coming whatsoever. Do not do that. It is not safe for you to do so, and it's not wise. You always want to do things with wisdom. But if you can, then I wouldn't stop you. I wouldn't stop you. But please know you have at least a starting point of a game plan. You need to have something written down. Do not wander aimlessly.
And all it matters is to start. Once you start, everything will fall into place.
Exactly. And I would also say this part. Try your very best. It's very hard, but try your very best not to do and be who people want you to be. And you don't have to blow up. I know sometimes we hold it in and then it becomes a big volcanic eruption. And you don't know how to tell your parents, you don't know how to tell your this is what I want to do instead. I would say sit down, write it out. I'm a big journaler. Write it out. Even if you want to write down your speech and practice it in the mirror, do that. There are ways. I understand that this is the goal of our family, or this is the goal of our group here, but I don't feel called to it. I don't feel an inclination toward it. And if I don't have that, I know I'm not going to give my very best self. I'm going to be miserable. If I'm miserable, my mental capacity won't be there. I'm going to need lots of mental health coverage days because I have stress and stressors that I'm dealing with in order to get this particular work done because I don't want to do it. I don't want to. So find a way to communicate that respectfully and calmly. If you're doing it in a rash way, trust and believe is going to come right back to you. And then you're going to have a screaming match. And then eventually you're going to feel guilty about wanting to do something that you feel drawn to. So I would say that's my idea on do's and don'ts.
Thank you so much, Crystal. All great advice. So, next question: how did the pandemic affected passion pursuit? If it did, or maybe if
it so
did not.
As you know, I facilitate workshops, so that's going in person. And because I like to help, I like to go to underserved areas. Traffic doesn't have access to that type of information unless they can drop bundles of money for it. So I like to go into areas and do that. Those same areas had to close because they couldn't allow people in. So I couldn't, you know, and even with opening back, there were limited amounts of people. And the staff that already has to be there. So it would have been like you and 3 other people because everyone else was past the quota. And so it just wasn't safe. So I had to find ways to pivot. And that just meant, okay, so I can't do the workshops right now. I'm going to take time to learn more. I'm going to take up more courses. I'm going to get certification so I can be more equipped, because when everything opens up, I'm coming back hard, you know. So I did things like that. I did the podcast. I found a way to use what I wanted to bring to the masses, and I put it on the podcast in the last season. So I was able to get more resources by way of the guests, like the counselors or the therapists and the business moguls that I had on. They were there and able to give that information. Even a Billboard charting artist on there, and that's someone who pursued a passion. And yes, she's a Christian, and she pursued a passion that's different from the rest of the world. And she talked about that as well. So what it forced me to do is find ways to get done what I wanted. It did still affect it because, I mean, I wanted to do some others that involved me traveling. I couldn't do that, you know, and I wanted to be safe. You know, at home, I had someone who was high risk. So that also meant I couldn't go out and mingle and
get exposed.
So that's really what happened. But even in that, it did make me feel down a bit, because I said, well, now if I'm halted, momentum is stopped. What's going to happen now? And so those thoughts happen. And I'm going to tell you, if you're listening now and you've had those thoughts about momentum and you've had a setback and don't feel keep going, that's a whole entire lie that comes from the enemy, and it's external. Do not listen to it. Block it out. You can. We can, I can, and we will. Right? So we're going to keep going. It's just a setback. And what that setback taught us was a lesson that we can pivot.
Sit down, rethink, regroup, and start
Exactly.
over
I
again.
learned that I can have guests on my podcast without going through hoops and ladders, looking for another app to get them to converse with me on the show so I can record. I learned that during the pandemic. So I was like, if I wasn't forced to do this, I would not have learned that. If I
We'll never learn.
If I wasn't forced, I would not have gotten the people that I did. And taking the leaps and bounds, sometimes I sent emails and said, this person's not going to answer back. Not answer back. And
you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. And sometimes the people you'll be like, this one I count them. They're gonna be there. They're going to. And be like, okay.
That's God. It's not me. It's not anyone else. It is God saying, keep going. If you say you believe that I told you for this, you keep going. You don't have the right to say, I'm going to stop because it's not fast enough for me, Lord, or it's difficult, or it's requiring too much of me. No, we don't have that. We don't have that right, nor audacity. So, no, keep going.
Okay, so Crystal, we know you do a lot of different things. You write, you got the podcast, you mentor, and all the other different things that you do. Great things, by the way, all amazing things. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment so far?
In all of those, there's one. When someone calls me and tells me, "Oh, I got the promotion," "Oh, I got that job when I didn't think I would," or I help them some way in their business to see clearly where they want to go in their direction. In the sense of mentoring, when a former mentee comes back to you and says, you know, all the things you used to tell me, and I was just like, I get it now. Oh my goodness, I get it. It makes so much sense. And this is how I'm applying it to my life. Moments like that, when you think no one is listening, no one's paying attention, it's landing, trust me, it's landing. It's just landing in a place they might not see it yet, but it's taking root, and then it's going to grow. When the sun shines on that one part that the seed fell, that's when it's going to bloom. And so those moments make me feel really good inside, and I just give God glory and say, okay, so that's why I had to go through that moment. This is not working. I am tired. I'm exhausted. I have left to get Jesus. What else? Moments like that. That's the reason.
So now, what is something people tend to misunderstand about you?
People misunderstand personal life or
listen.
So people think that I know it all. I don't. I definitely do not know it all. The thing is, I speak with confidence. And when I speak with confidence, trust and believe it is not Crystal Haynes doing it. It is only God, because there are sometimes I go up on that stage and I have that microphone in my hand and I'm speaking and I'm hearing myself and I'm saying on the inside, I'm like, who is that? Who is that? And I'm watching people's faces, and then they come to me after and they go, that was incredible. I need you to come to my event. And I'm going, I didn't even know that was me. I didn't know I had it in me. So no, I don't believe I know everything. I don't know everything, but I know God, and he leads me into all of these pursuits, and the research and the preparation. I'm a little different. Not
Mm-hmm.
can't memorize things. Not that I can't memorize things. I mean, I'll be able to memorize things and recall them. But what I mean is, I'm not one that would memorize a speech and then give it to you. That's not how I'm built. Um, I go off of knowledge, so I'll do a lot of research, and
Mm-hmm.
I may read over some bullet points, and then I'll explain it to myself over. I may look a little off if you were to walk by seeing me do this, but I explain it to myself because my belief is, if I'm able to explain it, that means I understand it. And if I understand it, that means I can speak about it anywhere. And so that's
Exactly.
so if I were to have a whole, and sometimes I do, I write down a whole thing because I'm a writer. So I'll write down a whole thing, and I will get, like, to the workshops. I will get there. You may never see me pick up that paper, Joanne. I mean, you've been at some, and I'll go to that board, and I'll just go off. I'll go throughout the crowd, and I will get your participation, because that's how I am. I know what I'm about to talk about. I know what I want to get from the audience. I know what I want them to receive, and I know how I want it all to blend. So the thing people misunderstand is thinking I've got it all together and
All
nothing to learn.
together. I don't think any of us
I'm
does
doing
at
a
this
lot of
point.
research. I'm doing a lot of reading. So when I talk, I speak with the confidence that I've read it, I've known it, and especially if it's something personal, of course I'm going to speak with confidence.
You live it.
It's personal, and I'm just confident when the switch goes on. I tell my mother all the time, it's a switch, and only God flips that switch, because after that I might need a recharge. I need a moment. I need a moment. But when I'm on, I'm on. I'm on.
You're on.
So that's really what happens.
Okay. So my
Yeah.
next question. If you could go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what advice would you give
Stop
her?
being insecure. I've for the past year, stop being insecure. At 18, I was very insecure. With my physical appearance, I was unlovable, unwanted, all of those things. And you'll see them on my blog. You'll see them in book I was one of the co-authors in, and more than I would tell Crystal, don't be insecure. Do not let your mind think that the value you have is ascribed by other people, by men. Yes, men and women, but men. And that was because I was dealing with my own traumas. And so that related into everything, even in schoolwork and things I would not be able to understand, think I was less than. And that led me in college. I recently told my friend in college, I did my work and I went home. Like the song says, order and I mind my business. That I did in college.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just because I was studious. No, it was because I was insecure. I felt like
it's like you were running away from people.
It kind of felt like, even though in high school, I wouldn't give anyone that impression that I was intimidated by others. I wasn't necessarily intimidated. It was me, all me in my head saying, oh, you're not pretty like those girls over there. You're obese, so you're not going to get attention. So don't even bother go to that party. So all of those things were in my head. And so I would tell that Crystal, girl, you're beautiful just like God made you. You're smart and intelligent just the way God made you. And you need to speak because God gave you a voice and words that the world needs to hear, and you need to do that. So don't believe the lies that you hear. Believe that and hold on to that, because that's not lame. It's not the weakest thing ever. It's the strongest you can possibly do.
And Crystal, for now, where do you see yourself in a couple of years?
Hopefully, besides being like on a yacht on a beach and away from.
Listen, I totally can relate to this one. We're going to Paris, okay? I'll pick you up.
And I have a girl chat, and that's what we talk about at least once a week. Like, can we please? Can we please? In those years, I would see myself prayerfully fulfilling the things that I've prayed and asked God for. And that would include writing more, more people yell at me. I do have this. It just takes a lot of work. I like I said, I do a lot of research, and it needs to be accurate. So I mean, I want to do my next set of. I want to do more engagement with companies, really, because I don't like how I see employees how they're treated, and I want to do my part to help change that culture. But I know it's going to take time. And so with that, in that same timeline, I will also be realistic and say, I also see myself being more graceful to myself and patient with the process. So those are the things, quite actually. They may sound minor, but for a person like me, who is the hardest judge of herself, the hardest judge, and very...
Don't be too hard on yourself, Crystal.
And very impatient, those things are monumental, because if I can do those, to myself, that's the word, be gracious to myself and be patient as I watch God do his thing, because God's not lazy nor is he slack. I will get to where I need to be all along, because he won't have to reroute me. My hard-headedness has made me get rerouted many a time, and nobody likes starting over repeatedly because you just won't get the lesson. I want to get the lesson.
The first time around.
You could all chalk it up to what do I expect? I expect growth. Spiritual, emotional, intelligence, and financial, because we're real. Financial growth. So yes, those are the...
Okay, so what advice would you give to anyone who's currently listening or will watch later on? And what advice would you give to anyone who's striving to build a business, or like we were talking earlier, pursue their passion, whether it is writing a book, like I said, starting a business, be more creative. What's the advice that you would give them?
Start. Just that simple. Start. When I started the blog, I went right on over to WordPress because it was free. Right? It was, and I was in graduate school and unemployed. So I could not afford a whole website build. Plus, I didn't know exactly what it is I wanted to write about. I just knew that I wanted to get things out. Sometimes, oh, thank you. Sometimes you just need to start. Don't pause because you're waiting for the perfect time. Then next thing you know, the perfect time passed and you never knew because you were waiting. So just, even if you're starting, looks like you're pulling out a notepad and writing it down. The step from that start is typing it on your computer, in your Word document or your notepad. I don't know what kind of computer you have, whether it's Apple or a PC, but get in there. And then the next thing you go online. Then the next thing you do is a bunch of research, because once you've started, you can then go ahead and some people may want to research first. I'm not that person. So the thing is, I don't want to feel as though I am just regurgitating something else. I want to know that what I had in my head was clear when I started it. That's me. That's personal to me. So I said, okay, I want to do this particular thing. Okay, Crystal, how do you want to do it? Okay, I want to do it this way because this falls in line with my personality. I would also say stick to your personality. Do not try to be anyone or anything else, because when you do that, you will be exposed at some point or another, because it's no longer authentic and you can't hold it up. And let's say we got somebody gonna find something.
Yeah,
Be
definitely.
you. Be flaws and all. I have a with the podcast, I'll say this. It's different in a way that I say real and raw. That's my motto. Real and raw. I want everything, but I still want it to look good and I still want it to have quality. But I don't do a lot of editing. I don't do a lot of editing on the podcast. Even if I stumble over my words, I want you to be able to hear imperfection, but still pursuing. Because I think that there's beauty in the mess, because you're cleaning it up as you go. You're learning as you go. And that's what I want to share with people. I want people to stop feeling that you can't start because
Everything has to be perfect for you to start.
What it is you want to do. Make a list. I'm big on lists. Get a bullet point. You got a cell phone. Put that down. Text yourself. Send a message to yourself. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. How do I do it? I don't know. Then you can go ahead and get on social media if you like. There's a whole bunch of hashtags. You're bound to find somebody who's doing it. Research or
definitely.
Just start. Pursue. Start. That's it. Sounds
so. Thank you so much, Crystal, for all this great advice. Now, to anyone who's listening and would want to reach out to you after this live, where can they find you?
You can find me everywhere.
Well, I like when people say that. Like, you can find me anywhere. Okay.
Please, not everywhere. No, but Instagram, you have official _ CrystalSays. I'm also on Instagram as Love Thrive LLC. There's also the Let's Chat podcast. That's also on Instagram. Hi, Nick. Putting out my people. And I talk on Twitter. I'm not that active on Twitter because Twitter kind of it requires a lot. You have to constantly
listen. Same here.
I'm gonna give you the best of me. I'm not always going to be on Twitter, but the times that it's Crystal says a lot. Hey, Jet says, he's phenomenal, by the way. A luxury job, amazing. Then I'm on Facebook. You can just Google Facebook CrystalSays, and you would find me there. Also, the Love and Thrive. So you'll find on those Instagram, the face. Those are the main. And on there, you'll see if you or we can first, reach out.
Thank you so much, Crystal. This was great. It was fun. Thank you for joining me today, this afternoon. It was a lot of fun. And, I always enjoy working with you. I can't wait to be able to see you in person. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's been like that long. Oh my gosh. And now I can't wait to be doing more work with you. Get together. Thank you to everybody who joined. I saw Gabriel, Vicenta. Oh, my trainer was there.
Your trainer. Oh. I remember the name.
Oh, okay. And thank you so much. That was so much fun. So, Crystal, like I said, I can't wait, girl. We need to link in person. Really soon. And thank you, everybody. And I'm gonna see you guys next week for another episode. And be safe. as you enjoy this long weekend ahead of us. Everybody stay safe, enjoy, and have a great time. So I'll see you guys next week.